Welcome back to another video of reviewing articles pertaining to religion and orthodoxy. Please enjoy. In this video, we will be providing an overview and some comments on the article entitled The Virgin Mother Sarah, the Characterization of the Matriarch in Genesis Rabbah by Rami Schawartz. The main argument of this paper is that ancient Rabbinical Judaism expressed a high admiration for Matriarch Sarah, the wife of Abraham, and attributed to her religious attributes that mirror those of the Virgin Mary's on the Christian side. We wish to show that the existence of high reverential status being given to a person within ancient Judaism acted as a prototype for the Christian reverence accorded to the Mother of God. With this article, we are trying to highlight that religious reverence given to special saints is not an element that has corrupted the ancient church, but that has been a part of Second Temple Judaism and still exists today in Rabbinical Judaism. In the previous video, we analyzed an article on the intercession of angels and saintly people within Judaism, so we recommend watching that video before this one. Rami Schawartz is an alumnus of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, specializing in Jewish thought, and the abstract of his paper reads, quote, "This article analyzes the portrayal of the Matriarch Sarah in the 5th century Palestinian rabbinic midrash Genesis Rabbah. The midrash not only dedicates a large number of drashot to the matriarch, but it repeatedly depicts her as a model of personal and religious excellence. In order to understand this development, I turn my attention to the portrayal of Sarah in the works of Origen of Alexandria. Continuing New Testament themes, Origen presents her as the spiritual mother of Christianity and a prefiguration of Jesus' mother, Mary. Various textual and thematic parallels help demonstrate that the rabbis were both aware of this rhetoric and responded to it. Based on this, I conclude that the rabbis used their portrayal of Sarah to combat the Christian appropriation of the matriarch on the one hand, and to establish her as a Jewish alternative to the Virgin Mary on the other." End quote. The paper starts by presenting the importance of Genesis Rabbah, one of the important parts of the Midrash Agadah that deals with the Old Testament book of Genesis. Genesis Rabbah focuses on the central figure of Matriarch Sarah that surpasses that of even her husband, the patriarch Abraham. The author suggests that the importance granted to Sarah represents a rabbinical development during the Amoraic period. The Amoraim are a group of Jewish rabbis from the 3rd century till the 5th century that were primarily located in Palestine and Babylonia, and that wrote the Gemara, which are rabbinical commentaries on the oral Torah within the Talmud. An initial point of interest in Sarah's portrayal is her faithfulness to God and righteous conduct, for which the Lord rewards her with the son. Thus, Sarah joins Abraham, who is also commended for his faith and works, but unlike her husband, her praiseworthy actions are only mentioned in Genesis Rabbah and not within the Bible itself. The author also presents the idea that Sarah is partner to Abraham in proselytizing the faith and together call in the name of God. Again, unlike in the Old Testament, where only Abraham is mentioned of doing it. An important detail in the Genesis Rabbah narrative is the fact that it answers the question of nursing children, plural, instead of a child, her only son, Isaac, as recorded in the book of Genesis. The rabbinical commentary insists on explicating the passage by appealing to the ancient practice of wet nurses, in which elite women would give their young children to female servants in order to nurse them, thus creating a strong bond with the second mother. The author then invokes the concept of Christ's milk that he uses to feed his followers, which alludes to the deuterocanonical odes of Solomon and early patristics that likened the receiving of the Eucharist to a mother, that being God, nursing her child, that being the faithful. Additionally, the religious significance of nursing is also seen as imparting knowledge in Genesis Rabbah. Sarah's role as nursing mother gives her dominion over the world, as even Roman children would be taken to her, highlighting the socio-political circumstances of the period in which the rabbis were writing. The author's subchapter deals with the relationships between Sarah and the foreign rulers. While within the book of Genesis, Sarah acts as Abraham's sister in order to protect him. Genesis Rabbah speaks of God punishing Pharaoh for taking Sarah by sending upon his household plagues. The rabbinical writers also mention that Pharaoh was prevented from affecting Sarah's chastity, as her virtue had religious significance. Additionally, Genesis Rabbah is highly critical of Abraham's conduct while his wife was taken away from him, showing, again, the importance of Sarah over her husband. The paper then continues with the section about Origen's writings on Sarah. Origen is credited with establishing the field of Christian biblical exegesis while studying in Caesarea from the province of Palestine. An agreed position of scholars across fields is that Origen was in contact with rabbinical authorities, and thus affecting in some way each other's understanding of Sarah's story. The author does support the idea that Genesis Rabbah was developed in dialogue with Origen's interpretations, as Professor Marin Nyahoff noted. Origen credits Sarah for being the mother of Christianity and having left Judaism completely. Within his Homily 6, Origen comments on the episode with Sarah and Abimelech, allegorizing Sarah with virtue and Abimelech with the Christian Church, as she will eventually leave Abraham, who represents the Jews, to join the Gentile Church with the advent of Jesus Christ. He continues by reiterating Apostle Paul's statement that Sarah is not the mother of those who are bounded by the covenant at Sinai, since they remain enslaved to the law and are not freed in Christ. Thus, Sarah's role of being the mother of the Jews is transferred into that of a spiritual mother of the Christians. There is no surprise that a connection between Sarah and the Virgin Mary exists, as the matriarch is considered a prefiguration for the Mother of God. The paper continues with another homily of Origen's, in which he expresses the idea that Sarah is the first woman blessed by God, as the Lord only blessed Adam in the book of Genesis, and not Eve as well. Origen connects the two women through the concept of being blessed by God. Isaac is born holy due to his mother's blessed state. In the same way, the Holy Virgin, Mary, is able to conceive Jesus Christ. Due to the fact that Isaac is a type of Christ, it would logically make sense that his mother, Sarah, would also be a type of the Virgin Mary. Origen goes even further in his exegesis and suggests Sarah's giving birth of Isaac is an act of God without an input from Abraham, contradicting the book of Genesis, which clearly points to Abraham as being the father. The author mentions that even before Origen, the Alexandrian philosopher Philo considered Isaac's birth as being from a miraculous virginal birth, as God restored Sarah's state before her conception. In the next section, the article presents one of the logical arguments in favor of Origen's connections with the rabbinical circles from Palestine. Within his homilies, Origen criticizes the Christians that are still observing the old law and attending synagogal services in the 3rd century AD. The author argues that just like how Christians would be able to attend the synagogue, the Jews could also attend churches in the same manner, as the two faiths had not grown apart as far as they did nowadays. The paper, thus, argues that a certain ideological battle ensued between Rabbinical Judaism and Christianity over ownership of Sarah and her role in preserving the faith. In a surprising turn of events, Genesis Rabbah mirrors the claims of origin of the virgin birth of Isaac. The author expresses the view that the rabbinical writers of the sections about Sarah adapted the Christian exegesis about her, while at the same time eliminating the references to Jesus Christ and his mother. However, in Christianity, Sarah's role is overshadowed by the Virgin Mary, who is granted the title of Theotokos, God-bearer, at the Council of Ephesus, while in Rabbinical Judaism, the matriarch remains the central feminine figure and is presented as the equal of her Christian counterpart. Moreover, Sarah's portrayal as nursing her masses is similar to what the Virgin Mary does symbolically in Christianity. In the conclusion of the article, the author reiterates the central thesis of the paper that the Matriarch Sarah is the rabbinical equivalent of the Virgin Mary, and even imports religious properties from her. In conclusion, Sarah's centrality within the two religions is highlighted through her attributed role of matriarch and mother of the faithful, and represents a serious point of contention, as each side wants to argue for their position by claiming her favor. We believe that this paper can work as a bridge between the Protestant and Orthodox sides on the subject of venerating the Theotokos and its validity, as one of the main arguments on the Protestant side relies on the customs of Rabbinical Judaism to determine what was considered theologically sound or not within Second Temple Judaism and early Christianity. We decided to analyze this paper as it covers this exact period. One of the main contentions of the Protestants is that veneration of saints as a whole, and the veneration of the Theotokos in particular, represent accretions that arose due to contact with non-Christian and non-Jewish elements that polluted the Church. This paper sheds some light on the truthfulness of this assertion and proves that, even within Rabbinical Judaism, which is distinct from Second Temple Judaism, that there was a place of high honor given to a mother of the faithful, Matriarch Sarah. While Orthodox venerate righteous Sarah as well, her role is taken over by the Theotokos, who, as the mother of Christ, takes on the role of being mother of the faithful. The existence of intercessory prayers to angels and saintly people, coupled with a high reverence towards matriarchal figures, points towards orthodoxy being in continuity with ancient Judaism and not opposed to it. We hope that this video will nurture more understanding on this topic and help grow the fruitful dialogue between all the Christian denominations. We hope that you enjoyed this video, and we also hope that you've shared this video with your colleagues or friends or any other people close to you, so that discussions like this can further perpetuate. God bless, and may you pursue truth without cessation and grow endlessly in wisdom. For reason is the guide of the virtues, but over the passions it is sovereign.